He wore my father's uniform, true military horror story. I wish this could be a boring story. One of those you skim halfway through, shrug, and forget by tomorrow. Hell, I wish I could forget it. But it's been 2 weeks, and I can still smell the gas station air. Still see that thing in my rearview mirror when I close my eyes. Maybe starting with some background will make this make sense? Or at least make it sound less insane. I've never believed in ghosts or demons or whatever people like to call the unexplainable. I wasn't raised to. Sure, my mother and sister did the whole sage burning and opened the windows to let the spirits out thing. They said they could feel bad energy. Sometimes they'd light candles or whisper prayers if a room felt too quiet, too still. I used to laugh about it with my dad. He'd sit on the porch with me, beer in hand, and say, "Fear's just what we don't understand yet, son. Everything has an explanation. You just have to find it." He was calm that way. Not mocking, not skeptical, just patient. When my mom said she heard whispers in the hall, he'd ask questions. What time did it happen? Did it happen before? What did it sound like? He didn't ignore her, but he also never seemed afraid. Maybe that's what made me believe he'd seen something before. Something worse than whispers. He served 20 years in the Air Force, retired right before I enlisted. I joined for structure, travel, and the GI Bill. He joined because back then, people didn't have many choices. Mill Creek Air Base sits somewhere in Oregon. You wouldn't find it on a regular map. It's not secret, just irrelevant. The kind of place built in the Cold War and then left to rot while people kept pretending it mattered. I was working nights, 2000 to 0600. Not great for sleep or sanity. You learn quickly that time blurs when the only light you see for 10 hours is fluorescent white. My job doesn't matter. None of this started because of my rank or position. It started because I needed gas. That night or morning was colder than usual. The kind of dry cold that cracks your lips and fogs your breath. The sky looked bruised, the stars faint behind a thin veil of clouds. I clocked out at 0558, already half asleep, dreaming about my couch and a mug of instant coffee. When I turned the ignition, the low fuel light blinked. Didn't I just fill up yesterday? Maybe I'd forgotten. My brain was soup from shift work. The gas station on base was just down the road, a 2-minute drive. I remember thinking the world felt too still, like someone had pressed pause on everything except me. No cars, no wind, no hum of distant engines or early risers. Just the buzz of the fluorescent lights at the pump. When I stepped out, the air felt thick, cold, but heavy somehow, like fog without moisture. The sound of the pump handle creaking echoed too loud. No birds, no crickets, nothing. Even the flag by the small convenience store hung limp. My sister would have said that's the creepy feeling. She said it ran in the family. I'd always said it was superstition. I scanned the area out of habit. Nothing. The digital screen flickered when I tapped my card. The price sign above the canopy was dark, no glowing numbers. That had never happened before. I told myself it was just a power glitch, a coincidence. Then the pump started whining, an uneven hum, like the motor was struggling to pull fuel. I shivered and pulled my jacket tighter. My breath puffed white in front of me. That's when I saw it. At first, I thought it was another airman. Someone else getting off night shift, walking from the shopette across the lot. It was the right shape, at least at first glance, human. But when it moved into the faint light, I realized something was off. Its neck was too long. The head sat wrong on the shoulders, tilted too far to the left, like it didn't know how to balance. The arms swung too low, the hands brushing near the knees. My body froze, instinct screaming look away. So I did. I turned back to the pump, staring at the slow counting numbers, pretending not to notice the sound of faint, uneven steps. Every muscle in me tightened. Just another guy, I whispered under my breath. Weird proportions, that's all. Maybe tall. Maybe hurt. It felt good to say something logical, even if I didn't believe it. The pump clicked loudly, making me flinch. I looked back quickly, stupidly. The figure had stopped halfway across the lot, facing me. Even from that distance, I could tell something wasn't right with the face. Too smooth, too pale. Like it was stretched too tight over the skull. And the eyes, God, the eyes. Yellowish, deep set, and glassy, like they were both seeing and not seeing at once. I told myself it was a prank. Some guy in a costume, maybe. A tall one, sure, but I'd seen weirder things on Halloween. Except it wasn't Halloween. And there was no one else around. The figure didn't move for a long time. Neither did I. When I finally turned away again, I realized my hands were shaking so hard the pump handle rattled. Come on, I muttered. Finish. The pump groaned again, slower now. I checked the amount. It hadn't moved in almost 10 seconds. Something flickered at the edge of my vision. A blur of motion. I looked up. The figure was gone. It's strange what your brain does when it can't explain something. Part of me wanted to drop everything and drive away. The other part, the rational one, kept whispering, "You're imagining things. You need sleep." I stopped the pump, yanked the nozzle free, shoved it back into place. "Get in the car," I whispered. When I turned to open the door, I froze again. There it was. Not far away this time, just on the other side of the next pump. Half hidden behind the metal casing. It was closer than before, illuminated by the harsh white light above us. This time, I saw it clearly. It was tall. 7 feet, maybe more. The neck still crooked, the skin pale and loose, sagging around the jawline as if it didn't quite fit the bones beneath. And it was wearing a uniform. BDU's, the old Air Force camouflage pattern. The same kind my dad used to wear in the early 2000s. The collar was frayed. The name tape was faded. I couldn't read it. But the strangest part was how it hung on the body. Too big in some places, too tight in others. Like the shape underneath wasn't quite human. It swayed slightly. Not breathing, just moving, like it was figuring out how motion worked. Its hands were wrong too. The fingers were too thin, too long, and they bent unevenly, like they didn't have joints where they should. I realized with sudden horror that the skin itself didn't look natural. It wasn't skin, it was wearing. There were seams, faint and dark, running along the arms and sides of the neck, places where it looked stitched together. That's when I made a sound. Not a scream. More like a strangled yelp that escaped before I could stop it. The thing flinched, jerking its head sharply like an animal startled by noise. That broke me out of it. I yanked open the car door, dove in, and slammed it shut. My heart was pounding so loud it drowned out everything else. The second my hands hit the steering wheel, I floored it. The tires screeched on the cold asphalt. I didn't even bother with the seatbelt. I just wanted out. The car fishtailed briefly before gripping the road. I took the first turn out of the lot, breath coming in sharp gasps. When I finally dared to glance at the rearview mirror, there was nothing. "See?" I said out loud, trying to calm myself. Nothing there. Just my imagination. Then I heard it. The soft, wet click of a door latch. Not mine. The back passenger door. Opening. The sound of the car door unlatching was soft. Too soft. Like someone didn't know how to use a door, only mimic it. I didn't want to look. God, I didn't. But instinct made me glance at the mirror. At first, I thought the door had just swung open from the speed. But then, I saw a shadow move. Something hunched, filling the back seat, too large for the space. The smell hit next. Rotting meat. Damp cloth. Iron and something sweet, like decaying fruit. I gagged. My hands tightened on the wheel until my knuckles went white. Don't look. Don't look. Don't look. But I looked. It was crouched there, its body folding in ways it shouldn't. The head tilted, jaw half hanging open, the eyes milky yellow and fixed on me in the mirror. And it was smiling. Or trying to. The skin around its mouth cracked when it moved, splitting like old leather. The teeth behind it were wrong, too small. Too many. It looked like it was wearing someone else's expression, not understanding what it meant. The air in the car grew thick. Every breath felt heavy, metallic. My brain screamed, "Do something." I reached for the first thing I could grab, my lunch bag. I swung it backward, over and over, hitting whatever I could reach. I was shouting, cursing, maybe crying, don't know. The thing hissed. Not like an animal, but like air escaping a punctured hose. Then it lunged forward. Its fingers brushed my shoulder. Cold. Damp. And something underneath the touch like static crawling over my skin. I swerved hard, slamming the brakes. The creature tumbled sideways, its shoulder slamming against the door. The latch popped. The door swung open. I didn't even slow down. I hit the gas, heard the thud of something rolling onto the pavement, and just kept driving. The smell lingered even after it was gone. I didn't look back. By the time I reached the base gate, my pulse still hadn't slowed. Normally, there'd be a guard on duty. A sleepy airman in a reflective vest, scanning IDs, waving cars through. But the shack was empty. The floodlights hummed, flickering, but there was no one there. The gate itself was wide open. No cars. No radio chatter. Just that same suffocating quiet from the gas station. I slowed down, but didn't stop. Part of me wanted to roll down the window and yell anyone there. But I couldn't bring myself to break the silence again. I drove through. As soon as I left base property, I could breathe again. It was like crossing an invisible barrier. The air felt lighter. Sound came back, distant traffic, wind in the trees. For a moment, I convinced myself I'd hallucinated everything. sleep deprivation, stress, isolation. But then I caught sight of something dark on the passenger seat. A single, grayish fragment of something. I picked it up. It wasn't cloth. It wasn't leather. It was skin. Paper thin. Translucent. I threw it out the window. By the time I reached my house, dawn was breaking, thin light creeping through the trees. Our neighborhood was quiet. Rows of small military rentals, all identical, all painfully neat. I parked in the driveway, turned off the car, and sat there for a full minute. I checked the mirrors twice. Nothing in the back seat. Nothing in the rear window. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that the air behind me was occupied. When I finally got out, my legs felt like rubber. The moment I locked the front door behind me, I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. I found my boyfriend Lucas in the kitchen. He was standing in his t-shirt and boxers, frying a breakfast burrito, looking at me like I'd just come back from a war zone. Raw night, he asked, half smiling. I wish, I said. I didn't even try to make it sound sane. I told him everything, the empty base, the flickering lights, the thing in the old uniform, the way it smelled. He listened quietly at first, but the longer I talked, the more his face changed from amusement to unease to something close to fear. When I finished, he said softly, "You're serious?" "I am." "I thought you didn't believe in any of that?" "I didn't." I rubbed my face. "Not until now." He didn't argue. Just stared at the pan, the tortilla slowly charring. After a long moment, he said, "You said the car door shut, right? But not all the way." I froze. "Yeah," I said. "Why?" He didn't answer immediately. His eyes darted toward the window above the sink, the one overlooking the driveway. Then he whispered, "It means it's not locked." We ran to the small office room that faced the street. The blinds were half closed, the morning light weak and cold. From there, we could see the car still parked where I'd left it. At first, it looked normal. Then Lucas stopped breathing. "Look," he whispered. In the back seat, something moved. It wasn't clear at first, just a shape, like someone slouched low behind the driver's seat. Then the shape straightened, and I saw its eyes, yellowish, sunken, reflecting the faint morning light. I couldn't hear anything, but somehow I knew it was looking directly at us. We stayed frozen by that window for what felt like hours, though it couldn't have been more than a minute. Lucas whispered, "Call security forces." I shook my head. I tried to report weird shit on base before. They'll think I'm drunk or losing it. So what do we do? I didn't answer. The thing shifted again, its head turning toward the street, then back to us. Its movements were jerky, unsure, like it was trying to remember how bodies worked. Then it smiled. A twitch, a stretch of the skin that shouldn't have been possible. And then, slowly, it reached for the door handle. My breath caught. The handle moved, but instead of getting out, it froze. The thing just sat there, staring out the windshield now, like it was waiting for something. The air inside the house felt electric. Every sound was magnified, the hum of the refrigerator, the tick of the wall clock. Lucas backed away, whispering, "It's not moving anymore. Maybe it's a knock." Not from the front door, from inside the wall. We both turned toward the hallway. Another knock, faint, hollow. Then silence. I felt my stomach twist. The sound wasn't from the car, it was inside the house. But it wasn't loud or aggressive. It was patient. Testing. Lucas whispered, "What the hell was that?" "I don't know." He grabbed his phone, fumbling to dial. Before he could hit call, we heard another sound. The squeal of the car door opening outside. We ran back to the window. The thing was stepping out of my car. It moved awkwardly, almost mockingly, like it was trying to imitate human movement. Now, in full daylight, I could see the uniform better. The BDUs were faded, covered in stains that looked dark brown. The name tape had letters barely visible. J. Henderson. My father's last name. For a second, I forgot how to breathe. Lucas noticed. "What?" "That's my dad's name." He frowned. "You think it's..." "No. My dad's alive. Retired. Lives in Texas." But even as I said it, I felt a cold certainty crawl up my spine. Because my dad had been stationed here once. At Mill Creek. Before I was born. The thing stood there, motionless. Then it slowly turned its head toward the house. It tilted it, almost curious. And even through the glass, I swore I saw its mouth move. Not speaking, forming shapes. Like it was trying to remember how to talk. Then came the whisper. Not from outside. From inside the house. A voice hoarse, quiet, wrong murmured. "Son." Lucas stumbled back, nearly tripping over a chair. I felt something collapse inside me. Every rational explanation I had ever built cracked apart. That voice was my father's. Not perfect, not exact, but close enough that my body reacted before my brain did. "Son," it said again. Come outside. I didn't move. Lucas grabbed my arm. Don't. Don't even think about it. I'm not, I whispered, though my feet had already shifted toward the door. Then the voice changed. Lower, more distorted. Cold. Need. Help. I turned toward the window again. The thing hadn't moved, but its mouth was open now wide, stretched too far, like a puppet missing strings. A faint image flashed in my mind, my father years ago, standing in our old house, telling me about the quiet places he'd seen while deployed. He'd said once, some bases feel hollow, son. Like something's still there, wearing the uniforms of the ones who left. I'd laughed. He hadn't. Maybe he hadn't been joking. Maybe he'd seen this. The voice stopped. When I looked again, the thing was gone. Not walked away, just gone. The car door was closed. The street was empty. The silence was absolute again. Lucas exhaled shakily. It's gone? I don't know. We stayed by that window for half an hour. Nothing. No sound. No movement. Finally, he said, maybe it left. Maybe. The microwave beeped from the kitchen. He flinched, then muttered, my burrito's burning. I almost laughed, shaky and small. It felt like the first human sound in hours. He went to check the food. I stayed by the window, and then I saw it, not the creature. Something small on the windshield of my car. A smear of grayish residue, like an oily handprint. I watched it for a long time, the way it shimmered faintly in the light. Then slowly it began to fade, like it had never been there. I called my father that night. He sounded tired but cheerful, like always. We talked about nothing, the weather, the VA clinic, the dog. I didn't tell him what I'd seen. But right before we hung up, he said something strange. You've been at Mill Creek, right? You ever use that gas station on base? My heart stopped. Yeah. Why? He paused. Then, almost too quietly. Don't go there again. Not at night. I waited for him to laugh, to make it sound like a joke. He didn't. Dad, what do you mean? They built that base over something old, he said. A test site. Not weapons, something else. We stopped talking about it after 89. Just trust me. If you see someone in uniform who doesn't look right, you get in your car and you drive. Then he hung up. I haven't been back to base at night since. I switched shifts, started locking my car doors twice. I don't burn sage like my mother or sister. I don't pray. But I check the back seat every single time. Sometimes, when the nights are long and the air feels heavy again, I think about that thing. About the way it looked in that uniform. About how it knew my father's name. And about how, when I passed the old gas station last week, I saw someone standing near pump number 3. Tall. Still. Wearing BDUs. The price sign above him was dark. And for just a second, just long enough to make me doubt myself, I thought I saw his mouth move. Like he was trying to say something. Son,